Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Bophelong. I am Lindokuhle Mnisi. The author of The Victim of Circumstance, Life of a Village Boy. The 23-year-old Lindokuhle Mnisi's story is one of pain, love, poverty, abuse, HIV and AIDS, and above all, overcoming these challenges. He told Bophelong that it was his dream of becoming a successful television reporter that kept him going. Take a look at this.
Lindokuhle Mnisi defines himself as a village boy, a boy that refused to allow circumstances pull him down. Lindo's life was tough because his village and family didn't believe in any of his wild dreams.
None of my family believed I had the capabilities of being in the media. They were seeing what we go through in this community and see if you are going to be successful, you have to be a teacher or you have to be a police. Even my family, they rejected my dream of being in the media, especially the dream of being a journalist. They said, you cannot be a journalist.
Lindo's mother admits that she saw his passion from a young age.
Isikolo wayesithanda. Ukumbona kwami nje ukuthi wasithanda kakhulu isikolo ngoba kuthe makana 6 years ngisemsebenzini kusho ukuthi washa lapsoni bakhe angazi bebabasa nabo bhuti wakhe so ke ba khona ipetrol ngangithenge ipetrol ngenzele ukuthi basaha inkuni but ngiyibeke phezulu kwehoko so bona bayilanda babuya bayithela estofini so angazi ke ukuthi yena washa njani ngoba ngathi mangibuya emsebenzini ngathola ukuthi kune crowd epompini masiza ngithola ukuthi nguye lo lapha phakathi but isikhumba umhlophe la phakathi makasa sesibhedlela alokathi mama ubongiphathela ipenseli yami ngifuna ukubhala ngambona lapho ukuthi isikolo uyasithanda.
The dynamic young man knew from the day he started uttering his first words that life was bigger than the mud house he lived in. This was evident to his childhood friend Spamandla Mate.
I never thought that one day, he'll be at this level. My dreams wakhe ahambe ngale ndlela le. Bekathanda ukulalela iradio kakhulu. Bonke kumhlukanise neradio. Every time must be esikolweni, uvule iradio, silalela iradio the whole day. Then besingasibo laba bantu ukuthi sidlala isoccer, uzosithola estradini and all that. Besithanda ukuhlala indoors talking about our future. Then what we wanted to be, it's all about media. Always lapha khona ukhuluma ngemedia, being a journalist.
Coming from a family without a father and being the last son of 3 boys, Lindo and his friend Pa had to change the perception of their village and be role models from a young age.
He was selling biscuits as well. Then we used to call him Beauty because they had this big afro. Then we started to be close friends. When we were doing matric, in fact from grade 11, life
Spamandla moved to stay at Lindo's house due to intricacies with his family. Regardless of not having enough, the Mnisi family welcomed him.
We used to share one egg.
Spa can only testify so much about Lindo. Lindo pushed for a dream unseen but definitely believed in it. After matric, he went to Durban to look for a job and further his education. Staying with his friend's family, things were much more harder than expected.
The money that Mamkhulu gave me was running out. I was only left with money that can take me back home. And I had to take a decision to either stay, finish that 200 rands to get back home, or I need to go home. So I decided I'm going back home.
With things not working out, Lindo found himself questioning if he was really destined to end up in the village like everyone else after having to move back home.
To go through matric and go and leave the community, when you come back and they see you, people are thinking, what were you thinking? Where did you think you were going? So you think you are better. We are all stuck in here. Where are you going? So coming back with all my stuff was very painful, but I had to come back.
Coming back, he still didn't break down. People thought he was out of options. He explored other avenues within his community.
I still believed I'm destined for greatness. So I went to my high school and I spoke to the principal. I said, Principal, I would love to volunteer, do whatever is done here. And my principal said, okay, right now we don't have a teacher for agriculture and life sciences. And as far as I can remember, you were good with both of those. Now, can you please help out our students, our matric students, to teach extra classes for life science and agricultural science? And I remember my first lesson when I stood in front of the learners to teach agricultural sciences. The first thing that I did was to stand there and confess that I had failed in my own life to get somewhere. That's why I was there. But I gave them motivation. I stood there like it was a seminar and I was giving motivation.
Comfort has never been a part of his journey. Despite the pain, Lindo strived to constantly move forward each time he steps on the right path.
I started teaching. I taught at Lindokuhle High School for 3 months. After the 3 months, I decided I don't belong here. I need to leave. One way or the other, I need to leave this community.
From a small village in Mpumalanga, all he had was a dream and determination. But does this change when Lindokuhle moves to a big city? Let's find out after the break.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
Welcome to Network, a technology news program that also discusses what's trending in social media in and around Africa. MTN has launched its new movie and television streaming service, Front Row. If it's trending, we will find it. That's Network with me, Spumela Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Vera Ephraim defied family and traditions to follow her dream.
Decided that I'm going to prove to them that they were wrong.
The first breakthrough came in when she was studying and touring in Europe.
That was my first breakthrough.
Generations was her first television debut in South Africa.
It was my first gig. I was very excited. I was very happy. I said, yeah, this is confirmation I'm at the right place.
After pain, rejection, and suffering, her dream became a reality.
I followed my path, and I'm happy and grateful and blessed.
Join your host, Lindokuhle Mnisi, on Bophelong every Friday at 17:30.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Bophelong right here on SABC News. Lindokuhle was the first to graduate in his family, setting an example to the young and old that education really is the key to success.
and raised in a remote village in Ermelo, Lindokuhle was named after his mother's wish for good and blessed things. He strived to live up to his name and make himself known across the country with his passion for media.
uLindokuhle ngangilindele okuhle kuye ukuthi nje ukuhambeni ngesikhathi uzosenzela okuhle vele.
Although it was not easy for Lindo, he moved with his brother in Joburg for better opportunities, still persevering to make his dream come to life.
I stayed there for 6 months. I was afraid of coming back here. I had been rejected by colleges. I had been rejected by universities. My marks were not good to get me into a university. I can't blame anything for that. I can't blame the circumstances that I went through. But my marks were not at a level that can take me to a university, a traditional university.
Lindo believed that his dreams was not based on others' perception of himself. He knew that one day he will be acknowledged for his power to want to change his circumstances.
My brother gave me his phone, his old phone. So I downloaded the social media and I started checking on social media, and I started seeing people who were working at the SABC on your TV, on these shows, the kids shows, because I was like 19 years at that time. So I always wanted to do that. So I started connecting with them. Luckily, I found someone who was working behind the scene at SABC, working with Generations and all those shows, Muvango and Isitingo and all those shows. So I started communicating with that person on inbox, on social media, and he actually invited me to say, oh, we have auditions actually, you can come for auditions. And I mean, my English was bad. I was from a village, so my English wasn't at the level that I would wish it was.
After rejection and being told he will never make it due to his inability to speak English, this helped Lindo build his spirit even more.
I remember from there, I decided that I need to push as hard as I can to prove to myself and to everyone that if you want something that bad, you can always get it.
His breakthrough finally came when he was accepted to do journalism at Tshwane University of Technology. The first person he knew would rejoice with him was his mother.
I only came to my mom to tell her that, Mom, I'm going to study what I've always wanted to study, journalism. I'm going to the university. My mother had never been to university. My brothers had never stepped in the matric class. I was the first in the family to go to university.
After getting into university, Lindo didn't forget his childhood friend Spa and knew that he also had no qualification.
Why university? I was still at Witbank. Then why in the first year, then he called me. What they say? Lespano senzayo angeke siglaste ufike phi without a qualification. You need to come this side ungene varsity. Then the following year, where's awazongilanda? He is the person owangithatha savaya ngayo register TUT.
Spa took Lindo's advice and ran with it.
He's the one who took me to the university. What look, asambe you register at TUT, you need to have a qualification. You need to have something that will sustain you. Unlike getting out of school, sihambe siyofuna imisebenzi, ama-piece jobs that won't last. So today, I'm proud ngaye kakhulu because ziningi izinto engizenzile naye, of which today ngiyabona okay, we are going somewhere.
Lindo's zeal led him to eventually see himself on TV as a reporter.
The first time when I appeared on TV, I called my mom. Mom, I'm gonna be on TV. Please watch at this time. And then when my story was playing, I called my mom. And I remember very well, she cried. She cried because as much as she never believed that I could be the journalist and I could be on TV, she always supported me. She always said, if that's what you want, you will get it. She was crying on the phone and I was also in tears It was my first time on TV. I had gone through a lot. It was hard for me to get to that level, but I was on TV, and it was quite big for me.
His perseverance pushed him to never be comfortable and always push the boundaries.
Even though I wasn't perfect, I wasn't doing the journalism at the level that I wish I was doing it, but I was doing it, and people were proud, and people still took me serious. People still believed that I can deliver.
This also proved to Spa that positivity and zeal can take you to places you could only imagine.
Uhlala positive always, even now. Like if azofika endlini, yes, siyajoka, sihleke kube mnandi, but he's one person ekuthiwa nakukhulunywa ngelife, uyithatha serious life. If ukukhulunywa nga some of the things ekumele zenziwe in future, he's one person ohlala nama dreams, one person ohlala ufuna ukuthi every day abe nezinto achieve.
Doors started opening and nothing could stop him from doing anything imaginable to his mind.
I do motivation now in schools, in colleges, in universities, in organizations, and we give motivation, life empowering stuff, just life coaching, and we also do entrepreneurship because there are people who also are starting businesses and they also want those tips on how to start a business. So I'm a motivational speaker right now. Without focusing on the problems that we have, why don't we focus on the positive things that we can actually create for ourselves? I wrote a book. My book is titled The Victim of Circumstances, Life of a Village Boy.
When those around him looked for ways to survive poverty by doing odd jobs just to afford a meal, Lindokuhle refused to leave school until he qualified for a degree in journalism. More coming up after the break.
Preparing for victory requires intense effort and teamwork. When you get to it, there is no turning back because all eyes are on you. When it's action time, nothing should stand in your way. Sports Live tackles and analyzes all the sport action. This is the home of all your sport news, updates and more. Sports Live weekdays at 8:30 p.m.
Born with malformation of the limbs, David lives his life to the fullest.
I got this. Let me try my own. Got on the bed, then start playing soccer in the streets, then like do this.
He can play soccer, he reads and writes, he is even able to swim, a role model to his peers.
Look at the scripture. It doesn't say I'm a conqueror, it says I'm more than a conqueror.
Join your host Bophelong on Bophelong every Friday at 17:30.
Health Talk, your show on health practice.
The people being empowered with knowledge so that they can change their behavior and reduce their risk of being sick.
How serious is stress at work?
If we don't address workplace stress, that negative stress, then it can lead to burnout and it can lead to depression.
How does absentees affect companies?
The one that's really problematic for employers is the one that is unscheduled.
How can companies organize their wellness program?
Health promotion mustn't just be a one-size-fits-all type of approach. It must be customized based on understanding of the unique needs of that particular organization.
For health tips that will help you to adopt healthy living with Dr. Lindo on Health Talk every Saturday.
Welcome back to the show right here on SABC News. Lindokuhle continues to break ground and set new trends in his community. Shortly after he graduated at Tshwane University of Technology, he opened a factory in Tembisa.
Turmoil and extreme poverty shaped Lindokuhle Mnisi into a man he is today. His experiences brought out a talent he never knew he had.
I started writing my book when I was doing matric. At the time, I never thought I was writing a book. I just thought this is the only thing that when I do, I find comfort. When I write, I find comfort. When I tell a story, that's where I get to cry my sorrows on the page. I get to find comfort.
In a world where dreams are often ignored and thought as impossible by most, Lindo had to put his in writing.
I went to university. In university, during my spare time, I would continue to write. Things that I was going through at the time and things that I had gone through, I would continue to write. I went to get a job at the TV channel. I continued to write. I went to another TV channel. I continued to write until I met somebody within the company who had written a book and said, I'm publishing a book actually. I said, okay, what is the book all about? And he told me about his book. And I told him that I had written something that can be compiled into a book. Because I had already started, reading books as well. Reading books was also a hobby at that point, and I was reading books every now and then. Now I decided, okay, I think if I compile my story, it can be a book. If I compile everything that I had written, it can come out to be a book.
So it was only fitting that Lindo titled his book, The Victim of Circumstances, The Story of a Village Boy. This title and the contents of the book were seen as unable to sell by publishers that he approached. But Lindo believed that his story was worth telling, so he took matters into his own hands.
I remember deciding that, okay, I don't have money to publish the book. I don't have enough money to publish the book, but I still believe I have to publish the book. And in the process of knocking on those doors, on those companies to try and ask for them to publish my book for free, them refusing, I learned the process of publishing a book. I knew from there, you need to get an editor to proofread your book. You need to get a book cover, a designer to design your book cover. You need to get the proper structure on how the layout is done, and because it's not, you don't just type and print out and then it's a book. There's a way of the layout to be done. I learned that whole process, and I started looking for printers, people who print. Where do they print books? And I started looking from my connections of journalists, people who are journalists out there and can have the good English. So I found one and I looked for another one so I can have two editors to edit my book. So I found two editors to edit my book. I gave them my manuscript, gave the other one, when she was finished with my editing, I took it, gave it to another person to do the editing, and the editing of the manuscript was done. And then asked around for somebody to design a book cover. Somebody designed the book cover for me, signed a contract with him and said, look, I'm starting a publishing company. I'm starting a publishing company. We're going to publish books. We're not looking for your celebrity status. We are publishing books.
The driven young achiever's job was far from over. One achievement paved way for more goals.
I realized that I have to start my own factory. I have to start creating jobs. So I'm starting a factory which is going to be providing academic attires for people who are graduating, and we are going to be selling it in different provinces for colleges and also to the kids who graduate, in preschool. We're going to be selling those academic attires.
With the power to achieve that which he set his mind to, Lindo feels responsibility to give back to the woman who never stopped believing in him, his mother.
I still have a dream of buying my mother a home, or building my mother a home. I think I owe it to her to build her something that she will be proud of. My mother sacrificed a lot for me, and I owe her my whole life. And I still have the dream. I just wish one day God can bless me with power and strength to build or buy my mother a home.
Seeing his son overcome so much and still be able to give back to his community, she had this to say to other women who've been through similar experiences as hers.
Kubazali nje abakulesimo mina ngidlulekiso. Ngiyabagcugcuzela abanye ukuthi mabangahlali kuleso simo, mabazame ukuthi baqhubeke nempilo, ukuthi nje ungalokhu uhleli esimeni obonayo ukuthi asikusizi ngalutho. Zama ubuze kwabanye ukuthi wenza njani ukuze uphumelele, ukuze nawe ukhone ukuphumelela empilweni.
Lindo aspires to be a best-selling author and a renowned motivational speaker to ever come out of a village. And he sees himself changing lives and restoring hope amongst people, young and old. We look forward to seeing more of his work in future. Remember to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on today's story and many other stories you've seen on the show. Our contact details are at the bottom of your screen. Thank you for watching. From us here on the show, it's a goodbye for now.